All right, if you've been thinking to yourself that Iran's been awfully quiet lately, well, then you're in luck. Their supreme leader, who you almost never hear from, but who is ultimately in charge of everything that's in his country, came out of his hole today, saw his shadow, and said, quote, "The enemy knows well that any invasion would be followed by a comprehensive reaction to the invaders and their interests all over the world." I'm not really sure, but I think that means 6 more weeks until Armageddon. The Ayatollah, not a man to be taken lightly. Although President Tom gets all of the headlines, it's the Ayatollah, the one with all the real power. When he says jump, Tom says how high. Alireza Jafarzadeh is a man who revealed the clandestine nuclear facilities in Iran in 2002. He's also the author of Iran Threat. Alireza, is this just posturing, or what does this statement mean today?
Thank you very much, Glenn. It's a great pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you.
This is not just posturing. This is real. This is serious. Ahmad Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, has an agenda. They have a global view, believing in the global Islamic rule. They want to turn the entire countries in the region into an Islamic Republic modeled after Iran and expand their rule beyond the Iranian borders, establishing global Islamic rule. And they are on schedule in doing that. Okay, so what is this statement? Why did this statement come out today? What does it mean that he made this statement? Well, I think the Iran regime is scared now, that they are afraid that the international community is going to get tough on them, both on the nuclear weapons program of Iran as they get closer and closer to their February 21st deadline. And then with what's happening in Iraq, the Iran regime is trying to steer up the situation in Iraq. They are going on the offensive in terms of rhetoric, threatening the rest of the world that if you stand in our way, we are going to confront you. And this is meant to deter the international community, and we should not be beguiled by that. Okay, now, but this is not, as I take it, and I mean, when did you leave Iran? Well, I left Iran in the mid-70s to come to the United States to study, but I went back to Iran after the revolution, and I could sense how things were moving in the wrong direction very soon after the revolution. But I've been in touch with the network inside Iran for the past 20 years or so. Okay, so now you know it from the inside out, and the reason why I say this is not just saber rattling, and correct, show me where I'm going wrong here, is the people do not support this regime. They want democracy, they want freedom, and when a regime feels collapse as close as it is in Iran, they will make good on that promise. Am I wrong? You're absolutely correct, Glenn, because this is a regime that is highly unpopular among its own population. The vast majority of the Iranian people are opposed to this regime, especially the younger generation, which is the majority of the population. There is an organized opposition all over the country. This is the same opposition that revealed all the major nuclear sites of Iran, known as the National Council of Resistance of Iran. When Ahmadinejad went last month to a university in Tehran, he was confronted by the students. They called him a dictator. They burned his pictures in front of his own eyes. It was a very daring act by the students, knowing that they could be arrested, they could be jailed, and they could be killed. There were some 4,000 anti-government demonstrations in the past 1 year all throughout the country, from the oil-rich province of Khuzestan down south to the Kurdish region, to the northwest province of Azerbaijan, and the capital Tehran, where bus drivers were on strike. So there's tremendous potential inside Iran and an organized opposition, and I think the international community should recognize that and try to explore that. Okay, so if you have the Iranian leaders saying that we're going to, kick up some war, we're threatening, et cetera, do they actually have any teeth? Will the Iranian people fight the U.S. and the rest of the Middle East if they trump up some charge that we're coming across their border or whatever? Will the Iranian people be convinced by their leaders? There's nothing that could rally the Iranian people behind the Iranian regime ruling dictators. There's no way. There's an ocean of blood. Then why should we fear them? Well, first of all, they have a network of their own. You know, it's a small group, but they have the deadliest force in terms of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, what they're doing in Iraq. They have these terrorist groups that they're supporting, and they have a nuclear weapons program that they're developing. But at the same time, they have their own Achilles heel, as you correctly said, which is their internal situation. So at the same time that the threat is for real, but there is a solution to it. And this regime is vulnerable, and they could be confronted only and only if the United States would pursue a right policy, reaching out to the Iranian opposition, trying to strengthen and empower the Iranian opposition and help them, not hindering their efforts in Iran or also in Iraq.
Alireza, thank you very much. Coming up, the